I started off struggling to squat 135 pounds, and now I squat 760 pounds. I've coached people who have never lifted before to people competing at the World Championships. So I've seen how people's needs change as they go from a beginner to an advanced lifter. I get people asking, how should your training change at these different levels, beginner, intermediate, and advanced? Honestly, I think they're a lot more similar than they are different, but there are still differences. And I'll go over how to maximize your progress based on what level you're at. And before we get into that, we need to figure out what is a beginner, intermediate, and advanced lifter exactly. So let's start off with beginners. How should they train? The main increases in strength in beginners are not due to changes in muscle mass, but actually improvements on the neural side of things. Namely, their movement patterns and form gets more efficient. So for this reason, the bulk of the program should be focused on specific movements. They don't really need specialized movements to work certain parts of form yet, because they simply just need to get better at everything with their form. Additionally, we should consider work capacity. There will be some initial delayed onset muscle soreness for anybody who starts lifting. If they've done other sports or even other lifting sports optimally, then they can probably have good work capacity after they've gotten over the initial delayed onset muscle soreness. But for those who weren't so active before starting, it can also be good to focus on building work capacity. The best way for that, in my opinion, is to work on progressively overloading volume as well as weight. Try to add some sets over time. Now, what about an intermediate? At this point, they've got basic competency on form down, so while they should have a good amount of specific work in their program, they can also start doing more targeted variations to work certain aspects of form. Maybe they suck at controlling the descent on bench, so they'll do some tempo bench. On top of that, there's evidence in motor learning that beyond the beginner stage, branching out to some slightly different movement patterns actually enhances motor learning. It's a good time to do some more experimenting with each training cycle too, change a couple of things, see how it goes, and find things that work for you and things that don't. While there are diminishing returns to both the neural and muscle side of strength, the difference is much more pronounced for the neural side of things, so there's more gains to be had as an intermediate from getting bigger. I made a video talking about why powerlifters should train like bodybuilders, and this is especially true here. Do lots of isolation work at or near failure, and make sure you're gaining weight and size over time. I suggest bulking leanly, like a 250 calorie surplus for a 0.5 pounds per week rate of gain. Most extra calories beyond this point will just be fat. You can still cut as you need to best maintain leanness as you want. Now, what about advanced lifters? They've done enough experimenting at this point that they've probably found what works for them and what doesn't. Programming-wise, you tend to see a slight reduction in loading, as being stronger means a given amount of work is more fatiguing, and you're also worried about avoiding injury. Lifters with more experience and more strength, plus prior injuries, are more susceptible to injury again. So things like movement variation to prevent overuse and managing loading are important. Pushing hard to get a ton of stimulus can work to spur progress as a beginner or intermediate, but as an advanced lifter, it will just lead to injury. They have to focus on a slow burn here. Then from there, it's really just more mental changes. We're at the point of real diminishing returns. You need to enjoy your training to keep being able to push for PRs. A lot of that's intrinsic and frankly mental, not programming based. That's basically it, guys, how your needs change from different levels. Beginners should focus on basic form and work capacity. Intermediates can start to focus on their weaknesses and finding what works for them and what doesn't, plus get bigger. And an advanced lifter is really more about staying healthy and squeezing what else you can out of your training. I hope this video was helpful for you. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And once again, thanks for watching.